I'd like to make this video about getting planing in marginal winds. And one of the mistakes that I was making when I was learning to plane was I had this expectation that my feet would be in the foot straps before I got planing. And the reason I think why I wanted my feet back here before I tried to plane was of just comfort and confidence, because when you're playing, of course, you go fast and the board kind of feels out of control a little bit. So you really want to get your feet locked in as quick as you can. But that's actually counterproductive, because it's very difficult to plane if your feet are already in the foot straps, because there's too much weight on the back of the board, and this causes the back of the board to sink into the water, which makes it difficult to get out the water. But also it causes you to go upwind, because if the weight is on the back of the board, your sail is also towards the back of the board, and that steers you upwind. So to get planing, what you need to do is get your feet out the foot straps into the normal sailing position when you're non-planing, which is foot sort of behind the mast foot and the rear foot in the middle. Now, of course, if there's a little bit more wind, you might just shuffle it back a bit, or you might even be back to here where the front foot is just in front of the foot strap, and the back foot's in the center. That's just your non-planing comfortable position, and these feet are locked in so the board's balanced and you're feeling confident. Now when now you're going along and it's marginal wind, but you see a bit of a gust coming, so what you do next is, when you see that gust, point downwind just a slight bit and try and pull as much weight as you can into the harness. Now, what happens is, as that weight into the harness increases, and if there's enough wind, if you're lucky, what happens is you'll find that the feet start to feel light. And when the feet feel light, and that's because there's lots of weight in the harness, what happens is the board lifts up out the water, and you'll find, and if there's enough wind and enough pressure, you'll be able to plane with your feet here. Okay, so then you'll be skipping along pretty fast, and then the next move is take the front foot and get it into the front strap, and then lean back a little bit more pressure, just settle back a bit, get a bit more confident in how you're feeling. And the final step, now the back strap is all the way over here, and this is really hard, this one, right, is to sort of like rock forward and get your weight off the back foot and do this move and then just sort of wiggle your back foot back there. And if you get to here, then you're in full control. You can really lean back. So now you're leaning right back on the board. You're almost dragging yourself in the water, and the board is completely over here. You're over here. The board is all the way over here. You don't even feel like you're on it anymore. Your legs are just sort of like, almost like resting onto the edge of it, and the board is just bouncing up and down. And it feels like you've got no weight in your feet. And all of the power is in the harness, and the board is just sitting there, and it's just sort of moving around, and you're just controlling it, and that's it, and that's the way it feels if you get it going really, really well. Now, the final thing to say is, when you lose the wind and you stop planing, you have to quickly get out the foot straps, because if you think about it, if the wind dropped and you stop planing, what's going to happen when your feet are back here? The board's going to sink. So the tail will go down and you'll fall off. So you've got to, if you start to lose the wind, of course you try and keep planing, go downwind a bit more, but you eventually might say, oh, I've gone downwind enough and I want to stop. So just step out and then step the front foot out, and then you're back into the non-planing sailing position. So that's my tip for getting planing.